the understanding of the democratic principles of the U.S. Constitution is number 2, rule of law, separation of powers, toleration of religious liberty, freedom of religious expression, which was talked about before. Again, there is not a burqa and niqab debate in the United States. That falls squarely in the freedom of religious expression column for us. And then third, as I discussed with the George Washington example, a shared sense of U.S. history, the history of the family. I need not be partial to the slavery tradition in the United States. I was not present and was not part of that, but I understand that legacy and how it plays out in America today as inherent to who we are as a people and as a society. So I just want to just briefly discuss, I've kind of lost track of time, but I just will wrap up just by talking very quickly about, and very specifically about the citizenship test redesign process to try to narrow down into our use of at least this one tool, and by admitting some of our mistakes. And this is something that I'm very proud that we are doing much more so of late in our institutions, and much more so also with this administration, is to look at where we can improve our processes together with external stakeholders, together with external partners. Our citizenship test in the United States is non-controversial, which may be a surprise to the many Europeans in the room. We've had a test since the late 1980s. The original test had been come up with rather ad hoc, and it was designed for really a different purpose that kind of became the national citizenship test. So it was never really designed to be administered in as comprehensive a fashion as it is. And it requires our new citizens or immigrants who are applying for citizenship to demonstrate that they speak, read, and write basic English, that they have attachment to the U.S. Constitution and understanding of laws and of democracy, and that they have an understanding of system of government and history, and we demonstrate that through a civics test. And we actually administer an oral test. There are 100 possible questions on this test, and applicants are asked verbally up to 10, and they need to get 6 out of 10 correct. And that is what is commonly thought of as the test, even though the test itself encompasses also the English language component. So those questions, of course, are not, by our definition, cultural. These are questions about American history. These are questions about system of government. These are questions about geography and significant moments in American events. We steered clear from culture here. And in the redesign, this was the contentious component, because what we started by doing is to convene a panel of historians to say, okay, in an ideal world, what do we need immigrants to know to understand about America to pass this test? And there was much discussion, and of course, history is often very subjective. So whose history are we talking about? What history is incorporated into our history? And there were varying perspectives, and we came up with some piloted questions that in fact were not successful at all. And the reason they were not successful is because we approached this from a methodology of what's important to know about being an American, rather than what we then, I know I'm sensitive to time, so I'm going to shorten this. What does an immigrant need in terms of tools to find their own way and create their own picture of what it means to be an American? So in going back and doing this redesign a second time, we've actually figured out a better method to describe our citizenship and our testing methodology in a way that helps immigrants gain the basic tools they need, both civic, political, and linguistic, in order to paint their own picture and find the meaning that they seek for themselves in what it means to be an American. So with that, I really look forward to the questions and discussions, and I know I just put a lot on the table, and sorry if that was less than coherent. So thank you again.